Flooding in Central Texas. That is the topic of Konrad's news segment of the week. I know this topic is hitting home very close to all of us here. Not to bring down the mood. After all, we had a great podcast with our special guest Jose and a great cigar, but it is top news stories, especially that's hitting hard locally here for all of us. Yes, so there was extreme flooding in the Central Texas area. God, I'm blanking on the river. What's the name of the river?
Guadalupe?
The Guadalupe River rose an insane amount, destroyed houses. There was 2 prominent camps of children that were devastated. Over 100 people are now said to be passed away from the floods. Close to even us, right up the street from where I live, up in Georgetown. The San Gabriel River was, just a raging monster of a river, which unlocked another. I've always said this, and if anyone's ever talked to me, I've always said that I will never buy a house by a lake, by a river, or by the ocean, because I've always said if anything happens, it's going to happen. And this is kind of a assurance that, unfortunately, these type of events can happen living close or being of a closer proximity to the rivers. So, yeah, that's the topic for today. Anybody want to share anything? I've got a story to tell, but go ahead.
Well, I think, for example, because I think Jose lives pretty close, right?
Correct. I'm in Leander, so I'm 10 minutes away from Sandy Creek and Nameless Road, where a lot of major flooding has happened, and not to take away from Kerr County or Kerrville, or where a lot of the mainstream flooding is happening. Unfortunately, you mentioned Georgetown, Leander. Unfortunately for those people in those areas, it's not been considered a disaster zone or disaster area, so they're not getting the relief and the assistance from FEMA, from government resources, from county or state officials, and they're truly relying on the strength and support of the community. And it's I guess heartwarming and enlightening, knowing that the community will come together in the time of need when the government, who most people expect to help, aren't helping. But it's also very heartbreaking knowing that the residents who pay their taxes in the county, who are there and doing what they're supposed to, aren't getting the assistance that they need, and that are truly, a matter of life or death at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. If anybody watching wants to tip in and help, I would say reach out to us. We're gonna. We know a lot of people that are in this situation, and we can point to the right direction. If you wanna, I don't know, maybe send some food, even send some money. We will point you to the right direction, because we have a lot of people that has really suffered. And it's like some creeks that you don't even see any water rising 30 feet, 50 feet. You know what I mean? And like just wiping houses away. And it's a beautiful lifestyle when you are close to a lake or a river, for sometimes probably even a lifetime. But as we were pulling a information the other day, Spock and I, shout out to Spock, it was like the last one that was about the same level was 1987 here in the region. Some of the flood zones, the plan had like something like every 100 years, that would potentially happen, but it didn't happen. It didn't take 100 years, right? So it happened again on a shorter period of time, like less than 40 years, which it's incredible. So if you're watching out there and then want to help, maybe even labor itself, like helping clean up, the field, cut branches, and then just helping cleaning up. So that would be a great help. Talk to us, send us messages, and we will connect to the right people. But yeah, man, it was complicated. I had a very stressful Saturday, even though I was in a safe area, but I had friends who are like, hey, please, just let me know. I'll go and get you. You know what I mean? So get on the boat, please. Get on the boat, please. Get on the boat. I was just like, get on the boat. I'll go get. So it was even though I was working. I have customers coming to see products in here in our showroom, but I still was like I was on alert all the time. And we've seen like non-profits that we help, like just having all their tiny homes like wiped, 2 feet of water inside. Some of it didn't move, but it got a lot of water inside. So it's tough. So it's a complicated thing. When disaster strikes, sometimes it's the community that will do the best work.
Sure. And I think that's the biggest thing with what's going on in the local area, Georgetown, Leander, is that the community is really pulled together. We've been blessed that we weren't affected personally. Our backyard had I could have pulled my kids around in the backyard lawn on a boogie board for a couple hours and had a lot of fun. We were in Port A, unselfishly, and didn't know any better. Hanging waves were there and didn't know I could just stay in town and have the same kind of fun. But just learning that the community will come together in these times. We've delivered 2.5 trucks worth of supplies in the last 48 hours to victims and survivors in the area. My wife is the manager of Chiba Hut. I talked with her, let her know what's going on. So I believe in about a week and a half, we have 50 to 100 hot meals scheduled to be delivered that we're going to personally deliver to all the families. Unfortunately, there's a lot of families that were impacted in the sense that they lost a lot, but they're still surviving. But there's no access to the outside world. Their bridges are shut down. There's no power. There's no water. And so they're relying on resources of the community to help them out. So, for people and, community members and 4x4s and or 4-wheelers and side-by-sides, taking them hot meals.
I have 2 healthy power generator here. So, let me know, because we can just, you can just have them and use them, for the time that they need, power for.
Thank you.
And how much do you know about what happened? Like, was it surprise? It got people by surprise? Was it too fast? I haven't read it much about it.
I think it was a little bit of both, honestly. I think there was a lack of communication, specifically for the counties of Sandy Creek and that Leander, Travis County area. I've heard a lot of conflicting reports that they're not in the ETJ, they're not in the city limits, they're not in the county. So primarily Sandy Creek, where it was affected, it's Travis County, but it's Leander. Leander is technically Williamson County. Travis County is technically Austin. So everybody's pointing the finger as to this isn't our responsibility. This isn't our people to help. At the end of the day, we're all humans. I know a lot of people directly impacted that truly felt it, that just need some help right now and just waiting on whatever resource they can.
I think what the impact of it was the speed of how much water happened. They were saying 20 billion gallons of water flooded that area.
I think it was trillion.
Yes.
If I saw the stat, Rick, I think it was like 100. You could fill 150 Olympic swimming pools. It's 10,000 times or something.
It was more water dumped in that specific area than a day's worth of runoff from the Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's an insane amount of water just inundated one specific area so quickly. They were saying the river rose 20 feet in about 30 minutes.
I mean, I saw a video on TikTok, and it was a bunch of families, and I think it was more Kerr County, but I think it was very similar, flooding everywhere. And you heard the running water in the background, and as the family were running through, you saw, beautiful skies, dry ground. Within 2 minutes in the video, you saw a trickle going across the bridge. Yep. Within about 10, 12 minutes, you didn't see the bridge, and it looked like, a full-blown, we're in west east USA doing Raging River Whitewater Rapids.
Right.
The Hill Country, I'm good friends with the chief or firefighter, and he actually runs 8 units over here, and he lives in Liberty Hill, not far from one of the creeks that rose 27 feet, which is north of you, a little bit north of you. and he's saying that the hill country area, they need people more than anything else right now. So if anybody is willing to help with arms and legs, muddy, so just be prepared with boots and gloves and stuff. But yeah, hill country is really needing help right now. So he just reported to me yesterday, and yeah.
And I can backdoor that. Like I said, we dropped off a lot of supplies. The last run that we took, we were almost turned away. Fortunately, we had been there enough that they knew that we're here to help. There's a lot of great community members that are trying to support and have gathered supplies. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of area for surplus for storage, and that's the downside. Is when 200 people send hot meals and you've got 50 to 75 people that can eat them, and another 100 people that have no access, it just goes to waste. So I think they're trying to do the best with the resources they are getting. And at this point, I think, like I said, it's just boots on the ground, getting dirty, mentally, physically, just preparing yourself for whatever's to come.
Yeah, complicated situation that's going on right now, and I cannot imagine what these people are going through. It's just unbelievable.
I mean, I told you at the beginning, we have some really good friends, and they're fortunate that they're alive, they're here to tell the story. 20 plus people 4th of July weekend, multiple properties or houses on the property. The daughter got a phone call at 2:00 in the morning, woke her up, and fortunately she got that phone call because she was on the upper property or upper house on the property. She realized that, hey, it doesn't look good. I need to go get mom. Let's go wake up everybody up. At about 3:00 in the morning is when she got down to the lower property and said, hey, water's 10 feet away from the house. We got to go now. So she got mom and dad up. They went up, got them up, realized what's going on. They went upstairs to the second story house, woke up a couple of the kids, got everybody out of that house. They went about 75 yards up to the upper house. And within about 10, 15 minutes, the water was already on the first floor of the upper house. And the upper house is about 15, 20 feet, measuring level.
Measuring higher.
From, property level.
Yeah.
Yes, 75 yards apart, but measuring level.
Yeah.
Got everybody from there. And before they could even get out of the door, they couldn't push the door because the water already got to that level. Went up to the second floor of the house. And before you know it, they had to get out of the house, out of the bathroom window, onto the roof. 10 minutes later, the house was pulled from the foundation of the house and went downstream 20 feet. And they were literally sitting on the roof of their house, hoping somebody would come. And at a certain point, Mark was calling friends and family and saying, hey, this is it. I love you. Thank you for everything you've done, but this is goodbye. And, the worst part about it was PEC, our utility company, not Travis County, not Leander, not Texas, not anybody. It was PEC that came and was saving a lot of the residents in that area.
Yeah.
One of the heartwarming stories that did come out of it, a gentleman called Scott Ruskin. I don't know his rank, but he was stationed in Corpus Christi Coast Guard, and they flew one of the rescue helicopters up into the area. This gentleman is been in the Coast Guard for about a year, has completed his rescue training, helicopter rescue training, a couple months before this incident, and he personally, grabbing people left and right, 165 people, and was able to get them out of trees, from tops of houses, wherever
God bless
he
him.
could. Yeah. And he's got a famous quote, "I'm just a dude." So it's making the rounds as far as like shirts and stuff like that. But yeah, like he said, I'm just a dude, and I was there just trying to help people. It didn't matter my rank. It didn't matter how long my time of service or years of experience, or in this case, months of experience. He was like, I just showed up, and I was fortunate enough to be participating in some of the best training in the world for this, and he rescued 165 people from that situation. So shout out to him, a true hero, true hero.
And I think he's a testament to, he's just a person. He's just a dude. And at the end of the day, we're all just humans.
Yeah.
And we all have rules. We all have things that we're supposed to abide by, quote unquote.
Right.
But there's a level to that, and that level is be a human, respect
Mhm.
those that are next to there, regardless of what the rules are. Ask
Absolutely.
for forgiveness rather than permission.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Uh, in some situations, it doesn't matter your political view or religion view.
Zero.
It doesn't matter. It's absolutely zero.
Yeah.
You just do the best as you can.
We are all
So
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
please help and let us know. We will connect the right channel.
But yes, that's all of Konrad's news segment this week. Thank you very much for joining. And like Hilton said, please reach out to us if you would like to help. Donate your time, money, or any support that you can for a very worthy cause that's affected a lot of people here in the Central Texas area. Tune in next week. Have a great night.